Hey, welcome to episode 44 of Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And I tell you what, today is exciting. Today is I am just so excited about today. And you know why?
I know exactly why, but I'll let you announce it.
All right. I don't know if you guys did this on purpose or not, but we actually had people buy us beers.
Four
beers. We had 4 beers. So I tell you what, maybe it's public shaming. Maybe that worked. I don't know what it is, but Kristen and Breger, right? Kristen and Breger actually gave us a 5-star review on Apple. So that was really cool as well.
Nice.
But Kristen labeled herself the Frankie neighbor. I don't even think neighbor was a full word. It's like the Frankie nabe. So apparently I have a Frankie nabe that listens to the show, and they didn't know what to have us drink today. But here's the thing. It's bittersweet, right? Now we can't complain that nobody's bought us a beer. Now I can't really just I can't really point to my neighbors, say, you don't even support me, you don't like me, and because now they're doing it, right? They're supporting the show. So congratulations. And I'll tell you what, Kristen and Breger, we love you. Thank you very much. And continue to listen to us and tell your friends, because we're here for you. So we're celebrating 4 beers on the 44th episode. Blaine, what do you think?
That is beautiful. And now it's onwards and upwards. At some point, we want to surpass number of beers, more beer than episode. That'd be pretty cool. But right now, let's try and get to 5. That'll be the next big one. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for the beer. That is awesome. And actually, so now what I feel like I'm telling you guys today is what beer I'm drinking in honor of you guys.
Exactly right? Because they didn't list one that they wanted us to buy. All right, so that's kind of the deal too. If you want us to drink us something specific, let us know, and we'll try. We'll try to get it on. But if not, we're going to drink a beer in your honor today,
and we're just going to be super grateful. And that's so the beer today that I'm drinking in honor of you guys, Annex Ale Project from Calgary, Alberta, and it's also with Two Crows Brewing, which I actually think I may have covered in the last couple of weeks. It's a collaboration. It's called Practical Thiology. And I will say that I'm not reading that wrong. They spell it Thiology. So it's a triple IPA with Phantasm. Anyway, it's really a nice beer. And I'm excited to support these guys because they're a really nice brewery out of Calgary. And I believe Two Crows, where is Two Crows from? I forget. They were covered in, I think, last episode. So you can go back and look there.
So I just had the weirdest thought when you showed me that and went through it. I thought we were really in a Monty Python sketch, right? Like going, she's a witch. So be careful when you drink that. You remember that one? Like,
I do remember.
How do you know she's a witch? Because of wood. Wood floats.
Okay. What else floats? Little rocks. Or cigs. I can't remember. Or little rocks.
Oh, that's funny.
9%. So we'll see how this goes by the end of the episode. Mike, you might have to cut me off if I get mumbling along here.
I predict some fuzzy mumbles from you.
I think it's a good possibility of that.
I didn't even look at this. Oh my God, this is 8%. This is gonna be something there, right? Oh no, 8% goes back to local causes. So I misread that. All right, so I'm going to give a double nod. Yeah, it's Kristen and Breger. This is about you, but hey, here's my nod to Pride Month, right? And I don't think that this is not trying to be a Pride beer. Montucky Cold Snack, but it's called the unofficial beer of Montana. So I went outside of Texas. I'm like going, you know what? Let's give a nod. Let's do something special. So Montucky is in honor of everyone, especially our guests, Kristen and Breger, out there today, right now.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Pride Month. I don't know, mine doesn't have a rainbow on it, but I wish I would have thought of that. That was nice. I'm glad you pulled that one out. So, and it is an awesome can because it's got for those guys who can't see, it's like a unicorn Pegasus combo. Cause I was just thinking about that. It's the flying horse with a unicorn and a rainbow behind it. That's just, that's really cool.
It looks like it's a regular horse that transforms at a rainbow to a Pegasus unicorn. Yeah.
Pegasus unicorn. I was just, because I thought for a second, I don't think the unicorn has wings. I don't think the Pegasus has a horn. It's a, what would that be? A unipeg.
A unipeg.
Unas.
A pegacorn. A pegacorn.
Pegacorn. Yeah. Something like that. Some kind of cool flying horse. Anyway, what do we got going today? What are we talking about today?
All right. So here it is, right? We've got episode 44, and it's something you said last week, and I'm like going, you know what? Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit. And what we're talking about is sometimes you don't get kicked in the face.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to give credit, Mark. I'm not sure if you're listening right now to this episode, but my good buddy Mark, who's an entrepreneur, tech entrepreneur, really successful business, doing business internationally. We have a beer pretty much like once a month, and we sit down and I tell you, he has some of the best quotes. I remember one time he sat down and said, "So you talking me off the ledge, or am I talking you off the ledge?" That was his great quote almost every time. Well, last week it was, "Sometimes you don't get kicked in the face," and it was such a good quote because it just spoke to this entrepreneurial struggle where, man, it feels so often that every day is a kick in the face, and then suddenly you get a really good day. And this is even when you're successful. It's such a battle. It's such a fight.
Yeah, right. I mean, so we always talk about, especially on this show, we talk about, the weird stuff that happens, the things that you fail at, how you struggle. Yeah. We don't talk about the days where you win, right? And even the littlest win, even a day with no issues, no problems is a win. Yep. Right. So it is. I think, we should dig into that today just a little bit and talk about, okay, well, what is it? What do we consider a win, right? I think most people know, hey, we got the big contract, we made the big sale, we did that. But in business, you've got so many other things that you consider to be a win. So let's hear your thoughts on that.
I think looking back over the years, I'm still not very good at celebrating wins. And I think it's because you get kicked in the face a lot. You start to get really thick skin or wired jaw or whatever. But you have those good days. And I think my tendency, I don't know if it's the same as a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe it is, but we'll get a win, whether it's a small win or a big win. And I barely pause. And I'm already like, all right, fellas, let's go up over the hill, up over the next one, up over the next one, go, 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 push, push, push. And what I haven't been good at, unfortunately, some of my team is a little better at it, is stopping and breathing for a second and going, like, guys, like we've done some really good work here. We just accomplished this next thing. This is a good win. This is a nice one. Stop and smell the roses a bit and celebrate it.
That it made me think instantly, right? So I spent 8 years in Seattle, and on occasion, I actually got up on the mountains, right? Yeah. I went on hikes, and what you find yourself doing is that you're so focused because they're pretty much planned trails, right? You go up a trailhead, you go up, and there's something to see at the end, and your focus is the end so often. But I remember just a couple of times, usually I'd bypass it, but just a couple of times you'd see this little plateau that overlooked the whole valley, right? Or you could see another ridge line across the valley, and you're like going, wow. And it was that little breather, that little breath, that little, oh my gosh, I got goosebumps just thinking about that just again, but it's that one little thing. And that's what we're talking about is stop, take notice of your view, and then keep going.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it is like a moment. Just stop and I can completely identify with what you're saying, and I can picture specific places on hikes, and a lot of times it's out in the bush, out in the wild. Sometimes it's in like a big metropolitan New York or Shanghai or something, where you're like, oh, that's neat. You just stop and you just like, I got to suck this in a bit. We don't do that enough as I think oftentimes as business owners. And it's, one of the things I've said a lot of times is the good days and the wins are never as big as you think they are, outside of maybe an exit. But the bad days and the losses are generally never quite as bad as you think they are. And like I'll say when something bad happens, like that proverbial kick in the face, at the time it's such a big deal. And within a few months, I can remember the feeling of it, but I can't for the life of me remember what the heck it was that made me feel like that, because it probably was, we're so far past it that it's the same thing with the good things. It's not like a win likely isn't as transformative as you think, but they're worth stopping and celebrating and saying, okay, this is good. We've made some progress here.
Yeah, it's funny because news is never as good as first reported or as bad as first reported, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they say. It's never as good or as bad as first reported. So when I think about getting kicked in the face, right? I want to kind of define that a little bit. So before we go on to like, how do we celebrate wins? What are some ones you had in the past? Let's just talk about what we mean when we say kicked in the face, right? Because we're not physically saying, oh, a customer threw me on the ground,
Kicked you in the face. No.
kick me in the face. We could easily say gut punch. We could easily say, bruise my ego, hurt my feelings. We could easily say any of that, disappointment. Yeah. And that's really what I'm talking about is there's an excitement level that builds up, and then something happens, right? It takes all the wind out of your sails and makes you just feel terrible. Or in your case, last week, right? You had an employee that went on medical leave, stuff like this. It just, you got so much momentum, it just hurts the sails, it hurts the wind.
Yeah. Then suddenly, like for us, and I don't want to make that sound like the sort of kick in the face. It was more like oh no, first of all, we worry about the employee, but then we're also, okay, how do we adjust? How do we go? This was a bit of a surprise. But it's, sometimes they're not like they're, it's like the kick in the face, like being an entrepreneur. It's not always like sort of necessarily bad news. Like to me, there's a lot of things that you kind of feel like are that sort of kick in the face. And like one of them is when you have, just a big pile of like administration paperwork and reporting. Like there's nothing really bad about it. It might actually even be good news you're sharing, but you look at it and go, oh man, half my afternoon is going to be grinding through this and getting all of this done. And I got to triple check it and quadruple check it and send it off to this, that, and the other. And it's hard. And so sometimes it's these difficult things and bad news and tough and customers, angry and this, and they're all these little things, but they make it hard, and you got to get a really thick skin because that's kind of feels like the norm.
Yeah, I would think so. And what I meant by the medical leave thing is when you lose a team member, it just hurts the momentum, right? That's all I meant by that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I tell you, that's exactly those little things. I mean, the mountain of paperwork, the the phone call you didn't expect, the customer that wants something you didn't plan on, right? I mean, that happened to me today, right? It happened to me today with a client. It's just we have an agreement, we have a contract of what I can provide, and it just isn't enough, right? You're like, I thought we were at the end of the deal, and then I've got that last little hurdle just to get that last payment, right? that we talked about. How many times have we talked? Like, oh, really? I thought I was there. I thought I was at the finish line, and now I have to do one more thing.
Yeah. Those ones hurt when when you're just like, it's almost like you're ready to, crack the champagne bottle sort of thing, proverbially a small thing. And then it's just like, oh, it's going to take, we like, honestly, we thought, oh yeah, we're closing a really nice, solid, really nice deal. We thought it'd be tomorrow, just like also it's like Friday or next week. And it's just a little like, oh man, we were just like, I just want it signed. I just want that contract done. Right.
You know what happens to me sometimes is that if I'm busy, if I'm just heads down, busy, things are going, I can take phone call, email, text. I can do all this and just handle it within seconds. Yeah. Boom, just bounces off of me. But if I get into a lull in the business cycle where I kind of get downtime and I get like kind of, I'm gonna call it lazy, right? Because I'm like, oh, I got like a little breather. as quickly as I can just, push off and really grind through little things when I'm busy, they are so irritating to me when I'm lazy. Like,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, oh man, I got to do that. Where it doesn't bother me if I'm already in the groove, I'm already in the zone. I mean,
Yeah.
is that abnormal, or you feel that way?
It's no, I feel that way, except that I just feel like I've got so much that I feel like I'm sprinting every minute always. But I can already feel like we're kind of in mid-June, and I can already feel I'm like, oh man, I just need a breather. I just need a break. And so I'm starting to think, yeah, I'm going to hopefully take a week off later in the summer here, maybe a couple of weeks if I can manage it. I haven't done that in years, but I'm thinking maybe this year I can do a couple of weeks. And I come up with my own excuses for it. It's my own fault, but it's just thinking that might give me that little bit of, I just got to keep that energy up and keep that up and push, because I'm hoping I can get a little break, because I can feel mentally, I'm like starting to, all the kicks are starting to add up, and I need a little, just a little mental break here.
Yeah. All right. So here's what happened to me last weekend. Right. And the reason I brought that up is, we'll say on Saturday, I like downtime. I like to, maybe do a few things in the office, but for the most part, I'm just kind of down. Yeah. But that also means you've got other chores to do, right? You got other things that need to get done. So if I go in the morning and I grab a cup of coffee and I sit on the couch and I crack open the TV or anything like that, or go out there and watch the kids playing basketball in the court behind me, I could sit there and just be happy, right? And then every little thing somebody asked me to do, I'm like, oh, I don't want to or not.
Yeah.
But this weekend, I didn't do that, right? This weekend, Courtney comes to me and goes, hey, listen, we have to do these 3 things. I want you to put up these 2 lights in the vanity. I want to go to Home Depot. And while we're at Home Depot, we ended up getting a new kitchen faucet. Then
it just never ends. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah. So what happens is that's exactly what happened. I changed out 2 vanities. I mean, I changed out the kitchen faucet. There was another project. I forget what it was. Then I start seeing the other things. Like, going, oh, well, this needs a little touch up paint. I got the paint out around this. I'll touch this up, and while I'm here, I'm do that. And all of a sudden, I can put in all kinds of little other activities, other little chores that wasn't even on the list, because I'm already in that mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'd be sitting there watching, all of a sudden College World Series baseball or whatever comes on, and I'd get involved with the game, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to get up.
Yeah. I have a list, and it's way too long, of these little, and some aren't so little. A lot of them are like, our house is probably about almost 20 years old now, and it just seems like I got so much stuff I got to do. And I actually, the other day, I was like, looking up handyman on online to see if I'm like, can I just have somebody, I wonder what it costs to just like come in and do like 10 of these little annoying things, because I really don't like doing them. I really like, I get to the weekend. Okay. Our weekend last weekend, I was telling someone the other day, so what'd you do on the weekend? We were on our bikes Saturday and Sunday. We were basically out biking for 13 hours on the weekend. So it sounds like, holy crap, he must have gone like 5,000 kilometers. In reality, we went for a bike and we pedaled down to our favorite place for brunch. And then we pedaled across the river and went to a brewery, had a beer. And then thought, there's this other brewery I want to go to. And so we do another. So we did like a mini pub crawl. And then we came home, and then it's kind of like, yeah, geez, we were out biking 7 hours today. Of course, like probably 5 of those hours we were either like in a brewery or so it was like totally, it sounded awesome when you don't give the details, but it was actually like, for us, it was like almost all the time sitting on patio having beer or brunch, right? And we did a very similar thing on Sunday. So it sounds like, holy shit, you guys must have gone like 8 million miles. Not really, actually, but it was, that's how I want to spend my weekend. I want to spend my weekend, because it's like, I'm in the fight all week, like just an absolute battle all week. That's what I want to do on the weekend. You know what I don't want to do on the weekend is the cupboard we have upstairs that I have to just re-level a touch. And I'm like, oh my God, like, and I got to buy paint for it. And I got to do this and I got to do that. And I got a line that's from our toilet that's leaking. And I'm like, do I really want to do that? I'm going to have to, but that stuff is just, those are the at-home kicks in the face, right? Like, you're just like, I don't want to do that stuff, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes you don't get kicked in the face, right? You get to get on your bike and go to the brewery
And just go hang out all day. Exactly.
Hey, so you ever had something happen exactly after the time you needed it? All right, so remember, I hung these lights, and then I hung some accent lights at the foyer, right behind me for artwork, right in this little alcove in the foyer.
Yeah.
And so I have to take this tape measure, but I'm working like 8 feet in the air. And I don't know if you've ever held a tape measure or been and tried to, it's like a 6-foot span. So it's like the worst thing ever is holding this floppy tape measure that won't stay up there above your head trying to measure things. So I did that on Saturday. You know what shows up at my house Sunday afternoon?
So do tape measure.
A laser tape measure
nice.
that my son-in-law got for Father's Day, and it came early, right? And it's about 2.5 inches, and you just hold it on the wall. I would have wall to wall, and I would have measured it, and then hours late, right? Hours late. But sometimes that's how my life is, right? It's just exactly your need is like 2 hours late.
And I have some tape measures that, okay, this is completely unplanned. I was doing some work right above this tape measure. You can almost, like, this thing is like, I can't, it is so bloody solid. You know how I got this tape measure? Probably exactly what you did is I was up doing something. It was floppy. I got down from the ladder, drove all the way to Home Depot, bought the tape measure that is like indestructible, cannot bend tape measure. I can probably bend a bit, but this is like probably 6 feet right there, because I got so annoyed at it. And I was literally doing stuff right in my roof up here, and I got this tape measure right by me. But I know exactly how that is. I got to tell you, one of the dumb things I did. So you probably can't see back in here. We had a water leak from a fridge. This is a few years ago. And this is one of the things that's on my to-do list that's annoying the hell out of me. We had a water leak. I heard a noise from the fridge, and just my alarm bells went off, and I grabbed the fridge and I yanked it out, and I could see the water was spraying on the wall and going down. I'm like, oh shit. So I ran downstairs, drywall is sagging down. And so I, cut a hole in, and I put a fan up, and I got the fridge stopped, all of that kind of stuff. And me being me, like, the natural thing I think is, why didn't you phone the insurance company and they come and fix it for like your deductible? Never even occurred to me. So I literally cut it out, like, because I know how to sort of do that. So I cut it out, do drywall, taped it in, like everything. We have knockdown sealing. So now I have to rent a machine to spray and do the knockdown. That's what's been sitting for a couple of years, because I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to go and spend my weekend renting a machine to spray this. And then it was literally just the other day, someone said, why didn't you just phone the insurance company? And you're right. Why didn't I just phone the insurance company? If I got a ding on my car, I would have phoned the insurance company, and that happens, and I go and replace the whole bloody thing myself. How dumb is that? So that was self-imposed kick in face right there.
Yeah. But is it the popcorn, or is it just like
it's a knockdown? I don't know if you have it down there, but it's the it's sprayed, and then it's a trowel over top of it, and it gives a just different look. It's really common here. The popcorn is not very common anymore. It's just knockdown sealing that's common.
Okay, but with that, can't you just get they come in a can now?
I know I have 3 cans sitting over there, and I just literally, on my to-do list, I have go pick up a bloody drop sheet, spray the stupid thing, and do the knockdown. And I'm just, it honestly, it'll probably take me half an hour. I'm so annoyed that I just haven't done it yet. And I'm like, yeah, I have to do it. it's just one of those things that just like, I can't even face it right now.
All right, I'm gonna throw another random thing out there. I was talking with Breger and Kristen. Remember, this is kind of their episode.
Yep. Yeah.
And they mentioned your proclivity, I guess, to say words like process. Well, you started off this one. You started off this episode, their episode, saying project. So I wanted to put that Breger. He just said project, right? He said,
and you know what? I got to point something out that I actually noticed today. I was talking with the team and I talked about the process with my team, and all of a sudden in my head, I'm like, like I actually use this is a full Canadian team. I use process with my team, and then I come on here and process. You have me so turned around right now that I'm gonna have. I mean, like they probably like, what the hell is up with this guy? You know,
you're spending way too much time with Mike, Blaine.
He's probably driving a Mazda. Like up in Canada, we say Mazda, which I know just sounds completely uncivilized, but that's what it is.
All right, so we're let's talk about not getting. So a day goes perfect, right? What should we do, right? With your team, you get your team, it just goes perfect. I'm not saying there's a big win, nothing really that you should just like call out and celebrate. There's just nothing happens. Should something happen? Should there be like, damn guys, good job today? Should there be something?
There should be something. You know what, we our stand, like our daily meetings are always first thing in the morning, but you know, and I'm sometimes bad at it. I know sometimes people on my team, like on my management team, will say, hey guys, we did this yesterday, good job. And Slack, when something happens, when something happens and we're on Slack, you know, like one of the guys, hey, new partner, like it's from, hey, awesome work guys. Like I'm always writing stuff on there, but I forget in a meeting too often. But yeah, you should do something. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be huge, but do something, right?
See, I agree with that. And now, have you ever seen the 5 Love Languages or read that book?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to rehash what that is. But one of the love languages, which happens to be mine, is words of affirmation. I like to be told, hey, nice job. Thanks for doing that. Those, you know, somebody acknowledges that something happened. That's there's other ones like gifts and physical touch and I don't know, acts of service. How many did I do? That's 4. I'm missing one. So somebody comment, you know, on this live video or something. Tell me what the 5th one is. I'm forgetting. But it's something like that. Physical quality time. I got it. Hey, look at that. I got it before they got it. But anyway, mine is you know, words of affirmation. I just like to be told. And you know one of the easiest ways, and one of the things I really like when you mention Slack or even text, I like the little GIFs, like, you know, something that just makes sense in the moment. Yeah, I don't care if it's celebrating or, you know, or whatever it is. These little short, like 4-second things that just kind of play, and it just it makes my day for whatever reason. That you acknowledge me, you took the time to go find the right, you know, little GIF for it, and boom. And Slack's really good at that. You just put in a keyword and it'll find something for you.
Slash Giphy. We that's one thing that's always going on in our Slack channel. What's that?
GIF or GIF?
Well, that's this massive ongoing debate. But since the G stands for graphics, I kind of go with the hard G. But I know lots of people say GIF, but I'm like, it stands for graphics. It's GIF, and so that's my own little thing. But we always have those. We have a lot of those on Slack, and they're a ton of fun. And even on our Slack channel, we have like these different sort of random channels and stuff where people just put fun, interesting things up, and it's really good, I think, for the culture and a little bit of a relief in that. And you know, one of the things that was kind of interesting is like we do stuff like that on Slack. I'm better, I think, at celebrating when I'm in person. It's interesting because I just on a little side note, like when you mentioned those sort of words of affirmation, that's very much what how my wife, like, she loves to sort of say that. She loves for people like to, hey, you did good, this, that, the other. And I'm actually a bit almost uncomfortable with that. I tend to do things like just go and do. And that's, I don't know what that is on your list, but do those things. And the time thing, that would be very much more in my comfort zone rather than it doesn't even cross my mind to say that. And I feel uncomfortable when someone says, you did good at this. And I kind of like feel uncomfortable, right? Like,
Yeah, but that's what's so cool about it, right? Like your love language but it's not about, it's about your partner understanding what makes you tick, right? What motivates you.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean, you like acts of service, but that's what you like to do. What you'd have to, your wife would have to like acts of service. If she gets like this on acts of service, but she'd rather have words of affirmation, then that's what you should give her.
Yeah.
The whole love language thing is about learning your partner what they like and doing the things that they like, even if it's not what you like.
Yeah. I got a story just popped into my head. I got to tell it today. I won't share names on it, but during my creative agency days, we would have little celebrations. And honestly, it probably wasn't me. It was probably at my business part of the time or my staff or whatever would have think about these things more than me. But when we had like little celebration days or something or like 1 year anniversary or things like that, and this would come up. And so we would say, okay, well, so-and-so's 1 year anniversary, or this happened or that happened. Let's have a toast. And so we would go into our fridge and we would pull out of the fridge. It just depended. It's like we had, like you had these like sort of bottled juices and things like that. We also had like beer, we had scotch, we had creative agency. We had a bunch of different things. And it's kind of like pick whatever you want. And we pour them all and everyone would, toast and all that. And we had this one fellow that would not, he never drank a drop. He would never have the scotch or the beer or whatever. Usually I would toast with scotch because it was kind of I don't know, it just felt like the right thing to toast with. But we had all kinds of options, right? And but he didn't drink, and I think it's for religious sort of reasons or whatever. Totally fine, right? Part of our team did whatever. It didn't matter. And but for whatever reason that day we had a bottle of what is the creamy the milk? It slipped my mind now. What is the sort of cream?
Is it liquor?
Bailey's.
Yeah.
We had Bailey's in there because sometimes, around Christmas we would put it in the coffee, and that was how we toast, right? And so just for whatever reason that day, he said, I think I want to try that Bailey's. Okay, sure. Yeah, here, if you'd like, right? And then we had our toast, and then, and it was because we found out later it was because it was getting a cold, because he came in Monday morning and he said, yeah, I caught a cold. I had the sore throat. And I tell you, I went and bought a bottle of Bailey's and went through that thing on the weekend. Like, that is a lot of Baileys. Like, he went through the whole bottle. Like, holy crap. And not only was he probably half cut through the entire weekend, it's all cream. He probably gained 10 pounds in 1 week.
5,000 calories in one bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought that was so funny because I'm like, oh, that was not what I expected. And we all went, oh, okay. And we're just like, oh, geez, that was not probably the path we would have suggested. But anyway, it's kind of funny.
All right. So when I was at Finnegraph, they introduced a product to the whole team, and it was called Bonusly. Have you heard of this? This software product?
No.
Okay. So what it is that as a company, you put in X number of dollars. So we'll say $500 to get started or something like that. And your team recognizes other people on the team, right? But it's like all it is an employee recognition program for the little things that you as the boss don't see, right? The little things that happen, like, oh my God, Jeremy, you killed it on that call today. You didn't see the call, but somebody else was on the call and they saw it, and they can, tell them how great a job they did and assign points. And the thing is that these employees accumulate points from their coworkers, and they can exchange those points for like a Starbucks gift card or, whatever your $500 is, right? So you put in a total amount, and they exchange it for, your dollars convert to points. You set the point total, like every point is worth, 10 cents or something like that. And they can exchange it for all these things in their directory. Well, what I liked about that was that James did a nice job of connecting the recognition to a core value of the company. Is saying, hey, listen, if you recommend somebody, and give them accolades, you also have to be able to say how they displayed or demonstrated a core value of the company, whether that be honesty, whether that be thinking outside the box, whatever your core values are. And when I'm telling you, it really made people put the core values, which are a lot of times ignored, top of mind. Right. If you're like going, hey, listen, I mean, you were innovative when you did this, or, you thought outside the box by doing this. Right. So it was a really cool thing. And he had it where you had to tag it with the core value. And it gave us a bunch of analytics on which core values really was the team connected to the most. Right. If you've never heard it, check it out, because again, these are these tiny words of affirmation, but then they were also connected with gifts, right? Which is, but the thing is, your teammates had to recognize you, right? And you could put it to where, management couldn't get it, or only management had a discretionary set of points that they could give over and above, because everybody gets a limited number of points per month. Like, it's 100, but maybe you as the CEO have discretionary bonus of 500 more, that you can give out to different people for different things. So it's a really cool way to recognize your employees. And topic of the day, celebrate those little wins, that especially when you can't see them. Yeah,
that's it. I just took a note down on that, because it's one of those things that I struggle a little bit with, and that sounds really interesting. I'm going to take a look at it, because it seems like because our team really is very encouraging of each other, and it'd be nice to kind of tie something to that a little bit. That's a really nice, a really good concept. I'm going to check that out. Really low on the can here. So if I start rambling, just cut me off, because not much.
About 5 minutes ago when you told that one story, I almost said something.
Hopefully it was interesting in some way, even if it was long.
I can't even see what's in it, so I'm going to have to put my glasses on so I can see it. No idea. Where's it at? I don't know. It says don't be a jerk at the bottom. That's a good can. Maybe they're talking to me,
That's a good can.
I just happened to see that. That was funny. So I liked it for that reason, right? It's a recognition, and I was going to tell you, it creates a word cloud as well. Meaning that it reads all of the comments, and you can add pictures and stuff like that as social proof of, he did this great, look at this design he did, that maybe the rest of the company wouldn't see. And then it draws a connection between people. Like it shows a stronger connection. Like, I'm always only giving Blaine all my points. It'll show you that, or how connected one person is, that everybody in the company thinks that this person is doing something great. Right. So, I mean, so it draws connections between people. It does this word cloud. What I found interesting about the word cloud is that somebody might be working on a project and it keeps coming up, and that word cloud will make that, that one project name or whatever word they're using larger. And you're like, wow, that's something I should learn more about, because everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. It's very cool. I'm going to check that out, because I think it's something that, we might take advantage of. We actually have one of my employees, our director of development, when he actually negotiated, he actually negotiated into his contract when he first came and worked for us. He knew I was making skateboards, and he negotiated in a longboard when he reached this big round number. And we're getting like, we should probably hit that round number this summer, early fall sort of thing. And so I've made this longboard, and I've got like the design, the paint job, everything is all based on him. Like it'll be really cool for him. But then I started thinking, oh man, like, so he literally negotiated, it's kind of funny. into his contract that he's going to get this longboard when we reach this milestone. And but when we reach that milestone, I'm gonna have something for everybody else. It's like, it's like a bunch of kids or something. Like if you're like, you can't give something to one kid, that's not fair. So now I'm like, oh shit, I got to come up with stuff for the rest of the team because he negotiated this in. I'm gonna have to have something as a little win, but it is kind of fun because it's also it's imposed on me because I'm not good at celebrating this stuff. I'm like, well, we have to, because it's literally contractual with this one employee.
Oh, you know what? That's a whole topic for another thing is being able to negotiate what your time is worth. Think about it. That's all a job is you're just saying how much your time is worth.
Yeah. It's earlier this week, I had a conversation with a new entrepreneur, brand new entrepreneur. And he was trying to get going in the creative industry. And of course, I had an agency for a lot of years. So I sat down with him and talked with him for quite a while about it. And it's just trying to share some of the, like we do on this podcast, some of the dumb stuff I did wrong and things that I learned, and hopefully giving him some shortcuts to help him do that. And that's one of the things that early on, so many businesses not knowing what their time is worth, not charging the appropriate amount. It is a topic that we definitely should sort of cover someday, but skateboard probably didn't come into that conversation. So.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking about not just the negotiations. I'm thinking about things that we did to keep employees, celebrating those little things. Yeah. And I remember a time when we had a drone obstacle course, right? So we bought, you can buy them relatively cheap. We bought 4, like I'm going to talk about maybe, what is that, 4 inches, 4x4 drones that are remote control, and set up hula hoops and different, pieces of where you had to go under or over or through or around or whatever. And there was an obstacle course through the office. And it was after we hit a milestone, that's what happened. We shut down the whole place and had this drone obstacle course we threw up for the afternoon. And that's what the employees did. We brought in beers and snacks and sodas, and everyone got a turn and gave, the person with the fastest time through the obstacle course, got the grand prize. I think it was an Amazon gift card or something like that, something easy. But those little things there remotivated everybody for the next one, right? It's like, we didn't just get a pat on the back. We got to shut down the whole office for 2 hours and play with drones.
We back in my agency days, I remember it was pre-drone, but we had little mini helicopters, and we would fly them around the office. They were harder to fly than those drones because you had to literally fly them or you'd crash them. But thinking back to those days, we had, and honestly, I think there's a certain degree where it goes into lack of productivity area. But we had, we had a ping pong table, we had a foosball table, we had a dartboard, we'd have tournaments on all of these things. And this was all sort of fun stuff. Like it was really good stuff, but it just had to be balanced out. But I never felt like we had an issue with our team. Like it felt like they would go and they would have that go and they'd play a few ping pong games or whatever, but they would come back and they would just kind of like naturally, without even thinking about it, make up the time. And, but I will tell you, we would also do, holiday parties around Christmas and all these, we had all these things. And the one time I was sort of regretting a little bit our outing that day. You're down in Texas, so I don't know how familiar you are with curling.
Is that the ice and the stone?
The ice and the stone. Yeah, it's kind of done a lot in Canada, right? And we came up with this idea of let's go curl a game where no one knows how to curl, and then we'll go for lunch or something. And this was I think it was our Christmas party one year, and so we went curling. Well, you're on ice. And this is where I realized this was maybe not thought out so well. was I'm down on the other end of the sheet, and I look all the way down, and I see one of my guys sort of, I don't know if he was sliding down and the rock came by or whatever, but suddenly his feet were about 4 feet in the air and his broom is out this way and he's hitting hard onto ice. And I'm just, oh my God, we broke him. Like, I honestly thought we would have broken bones, concussion, something. He was a young guy. He kind of managed to bounce up, but then that was the time when I realized, okay, these events and these things, like they're fun and they're great and they're team building. Let's have a minimum of, a minimum safety requirement. Like, let's not do something like this where we could have broken bones and smashed head, because it was lots of fun. But boy, you learn that after the fact when he's dropping down onto the ice, big smack. And I'm like, oh no. And very fortunate he was okay.
All right, so let's do this. Why don't you, we have a sponsor. Sponsor is Dry Run, which is a cash flow forecasting tool built by my partner, Blaine Birch, and his co-founder and his team. So tell us about your tool.
Yeah, we should do this as the start after, before I do a pint, but I will tell you about Dry Run. and you know what? Dry Run is getting incredibly, it's always important, but it's becoming top of mind as the market starts to go into that real bear market. Businesses are struggling a bit. We can help you manage your cash flow, build financial models and scenario modeling to understand, how do you take that next step? Where do you go from here? Do you have to make some adjustments in your business? And most importantly, if you're a CFO that you're offering services to a number of businesses, or an internal CFO, if you're a CPA that are advising a bunch of your clients, we're going to help you in a highly efficient and highly visual way that's easy to explain, easy to understand. Work with your clients, help them understand where they're going, and make those critical decisions that are going to make them much more successful. So check us out, dryrun.com. I always forget that part. That's where you find us.
Dryrun.com. There you go. Hey, here's what I learned today, right? I mean, you always have to be reminded. I don't care how many times I've been told the same thing. I have to be reminded is, take time to look at the view at the plateau, right? Which is, celebrate that little bitty win, no matter what it is. And a normal day can be a win, right? Yeah. It's that time you don't get kicked in the face. So what'd you learn today?
Well, it's just a good reminder to look over those wins. But one thing I didn't mention that I think I've actually built into my week, because I know I'm not really good at these things, is when Friday comes, I will always, I've made it into a habit, look back on the week and look at what did we accomplish and where did we move forward? And it's just this little list of things. You know what? We did this, this went well. I don't look at the things that went wrong. I'm fighting with those every day. A little checklist of what went right at the end of the week for myself. And that really helps me ready for the next week and have that energy for the next week. But it's something I probably should instill in the rest of the team as well.
I like that, right? I mean, I like that. So at the end of the week, you just take a little list of what you think went right.
Yep.
Those little wins. That is. There it is. So, hey, you've been listening to Mike and Blaine with Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. If you haven't seen our website, it's mikeandblaine.com. What the hell? How much alcohol is in this thing?
We're both just struggling by now. I almost started laughing when you said, like, you don't even remember the name of the show at this point.
Right. But and I'm going to blame it on Kristen and Brady, right? If they wouldn't have bought us 4 beers.
Especially strong ones. Yep.
That's right. So here it is. Go to mikeandblaine.com. Check out the show. We got YouTube videos there. We've got our podcast is there. Our 2021 Beer of the Year and our featured breweries are on this. And if you want to, hey, buy some merch, buy us a beer, and always support the show. So Blaine, another good one from you, man. Good job today.
Terrific. Number 45 next week. Thanks everyone for joining us, and looking forward to next week.